Well, hello there, happy Easter, and welcome to the DBP Pest Control channel. So yes, it's Easter Sunday. My other half's out at work today, so I decided to come over to the range here and do some useful pellet testing. Now, I went into my local air rifle shop yesterday and spotted some lead-free pellets on the shelf, and they gave me a couple of tins to try, which was nice of them. So the first one I'm going to try is the BSA Green Stars. Now, there have been one or two reviews of these online, so I thought I'd do my own review and see how they perform in my rifles, because I've seen some quite mixed results, to be fair, and I haven't really shown a lot of interest in lead-free because I hadn't thought that they'd reached the stage of development that warranted serious attention. But we're going to give these a try and see what happens. Now, they're 2.2 to fit my 2.2 Ultra. This is the rifle I use a lot for pest control, ratting in particular, so I'm quite keen to see how they would do in there. Now, I haven't cleaned the barrels or anything like that, nothing technical, so we're just going to put a magazine full in there and shoot it down range into one of our new targets that we built the other day, you might remember, with the mulch rubber tyre backfill. So we're going to give those a test at the same time. Now, a bit of technical information for you. 12.96 grain, so whilst not as heavy as my 16 grain go-to pellet, the JSB, they're about 3/4 of the weight, you know, so on the face of it, not too bad. I put them through a chrono whilst I was at home, and I was getting an average of 190 meters per second, 620 feet per second, which is round about 20 feet per second, sorry, 20 meters per second faster than my 16 grain JSB. Now, that would account for the fact that the measured muzzle energy was showing to be 11.2 foot-pounds at the muzzle, so not too bad actually, compared with about 11.5 for these 16 grain JSBs. Now, I was quite surprised about that, but obviously that's due to the additional speed. One of the nice things I noticed about these pellets when I opened the tin is how shiny and swarf-free the tin was. They're absolutely pristine. There's no discernible mold flashing or anything like that on them, but they're just very clean, tidy, shiny pellets. And as you can see, I don't know if your camera can just about focus on that, they're not a true Diablo dome. They're slightly pointed, very slightly pointed. Not enough to call them pointed pellets, but they've certainly got a bit more of a tendency towards a point. So I've got a pard on the back of the rifle there. I'll set up another pard at the bottom there so you can see what's going on. So all I'm doing now is I'm aiming dead center to see what the grouping might be like using these pellets. Okay, so this is 22 meters, aiming dead center, as I say, and we'll see what the resulting group is like. Okay, slightly off to the right. Well, that's pellet on pellet so far. Three pellets, same hole. Impressed. Four pellets, same hole. As with all pellet barrel combinations, obviously not all barrels are going to like all pellets. So when you're testing lead free, you've got to bear that in mind as well. If it doesn't work with one, try another. Well, I'm very impressed with these to date. That's probably as accurate as my JSBs, possibly. Okay, so there you have it. Now, just using camera footage there, I'm sure you'll appreciate that. Okay, wasn't on centre. This rifle's been set up for the 16 grain JSBs, but nonetheless that's impressive. Little bit of tweaking, I would say 6 or 8 clicks to the left and that would be bang on. So yeah, quite impressed with those. Hopefully the 177s are going to be equally impressive, but I have to say that's taken me by surprise. Okay, so moving on to the 177 now. I was given a tin of the RWS Superdome 177s. Now these are a 5.5 grain pellet, and again, when you open the tin, first thing I noticed is how clean they all are, exactly the same as with the BSAs. Now these are genuine round heads, so we'll see how they fly. By the way, the 2.2 cycle very well through the BSA magazines there, so I've got no issue with those. I suspect the 177s are going to be exactly the same. So just a bit of background. 5.5 grain, as I say, so they're maybe a little less than 3/4 of the weight of my go-to JSB 8.4 grain, so you know, not a million miles away. Now I've just chronoed them with my FX chrono here, and I was getting what might appear to be a staggering 937 feet per second, which is 285 meters per second. So I think that equates to about an increase over the lead of about 45 meters a second, which is certainly more of a margin than on the 2.2s, but you'd expect that, being a smaller, lighter pellet. The muzzle energy was showing up as 10.8 foot-pounds as opposed to 11.3 odd with the 8.4 grain JSB leads. So, proof of the pudding now. We'll see how these shoot. This is actually the PARD 7V, and I have to say, although it's very similar control-wise to the previous PARD 7s, I do find that the controls are a little bit more finicky, let's say, especially when your fingers are cold. So off we go, aiming dead centre as before. Again, haven't cleaned the barrel. Wow. Dead centre ish. slightly larger group appearing here, but then you need to remember that not all barrels like all pellets, so there is room for trial and error. This is just a random tin I was given. Yeah, they're not grouping nearly as well as the 2.2s. One random flyer off, they're about 2 inches high. Now it could be that when you've shot lead all its life through a barrel, it could be that it takes a little bit of time for that lead to be stripped out, but certainly not as tight a group as the 2.2s. However, I can't help feeling, with a bit of trial and error through the available offerings, 177 lead free, maybe I'll try the BSA, since they work really well in the 2.2. I can't help feeling that there will be something out there that'll suit this barrel better than perhaps the RWS's. But that was an interesting test there, I think. Not as bad as I thought it would be, I'd be honest. Especially on the 2.2, I'm very happy with the 2.2. I'd re-zero that scope using those BSAs and take that hunting quite happily. The 177, as I say, and as you've just seen, I think bears a little bit more testing on the pellets, so I dare say we can find something a little bit more accurate than those. But there you are. That's the pellet testing. I'm just going to go down and grab those targets and show you up close the comparison between them, and we'll close it there, I think. So just bear with me a second. Okay, so targets up close. This is the 2.2 Ultra using these 12.96 grain green stars, and I'm actually quite surprised and happy with those. Obviously it's a little bit off, as you'd expect from a brand new pellet in any circumstances, but that could be dealt with simply by re-zeroing the scope. But that group there I'm quite happy with. I'd take that hunting. That's almost, if you look at the back there, that's near as damn it pellet on pellet. So yeah, very happy, and as I say, very surprised with those. The 177s in the Scorpion, the 5.5 grain RWS Superdomes, not quite so happy with those. The group tended to concentrate here, but you've got these two and a third over here, and yeah, it's not as convincing, I have to say. But that's not perhaps a comment on the pellet so much as the suitability of that pellet for my particular Scorpion barrel. So I think that bears a little bit more testing, so maybe tomorrow I'm going to pop up to Tackle Up in Fleet and see if they've got any more 177s that I could test, and hopefully get a better result than the RWS's. But I think that's a really good afternoon's testing there. Certainly surprised me here in the case of the 2.2s, to the point where, should the ban come, well, it will, but whether it will come for target range use or pest control or both, who knows. That's yet to be decided by the powers that be. So we'll have to see what happens, but certainly I've got more faith now in the lead-free alternatives in terms of the 2.2 at least, which is what I use mostly. So okay, so I'm going to leave you to your Sunday and sign off. So this is Doug Boyce signing off for DBP Pest Control. See you again soon. Bye.